Hi friends, let's take a look at our drawing workbook. After page 1, we already talked about that. Let's go on to page 2 and we'll talk about page 2 and the rest of the pages here. All right, page 2 is focusing on the art element line. What you're going to do on this page is you're going to trace all of the lines that you see on the left and draw them on the right. I would go one at a time so I can kind of get the feel of how to draw it and then copy it right away. Try your best to stay on the line. It's okay if you go off a little bit. Every single line, every single line. These are pretty easy. They're just curves and straight lines. These get a little bit more complex with dashed lines, zigzag, wavy lines. So try and copy all the lines you see. You can use a marker, you can use a crayon, a color pencil, anything that will allow you to make skinny lines. Next page, line patterns. We're now going to make some line patterns, different line patterns in each box. This box says these are angular jagged lines. Try drawing a repeating line design, that just means a line pattern, using straight, jagged, zigzag, and angular lines. So straight, jagged, and zigzag angular lines are lines like this. They have points, they have straight lines. So I'm going to try and draw a pattern of lines that are angular. I can look at the picture to give me some ideas and just draw a repeating design, a pattern. I like to kind of overlap my lines like this. It makes a kind of a nice pattern. Keep going until you have finished your pattern. Box number 2 now is only curvy lines. Curvy lines are more expressive lines. So you're going to make a line design using only curvy lines. You should make more than one line because this is supposed to be a line pattern. So try your best to use curvy lines for your line pattern. All right, on to shape. These are geometric shapes. Geometric shapes have names such as square, rectangle, circle, oval, triangle. You're going to draw a picture using only geometric shapes. On the box below is where you'll draw your picture. So I cannot draw anything that looks like this. That's a random shape. It's not geometric, but I can start my design with a square or rectangle. So I'm going to try and draw a cat. But I can't use organic shapes like this, random shapes. I can only use geometric. So I think I'll draw a rectangle and then put a circle on, then put some triangles on, maybe some more triangles and circles. And I'm gonna keep building this picture using only geometric shapes. It might look kind of funny because I know that cats are not made of just geometric shapes. They have more organic shapes in them, but my goal is to just try and draw geometric. I can even draw a background. Maybe I could draw a geometric looking tree. How would I draw the top? Maybe it could be an oval. All right, next page is also shape, but this time I can't use geometric shapes. I'm only going to use organic shapes. Organic shapes are shapes like this. They don't necessarily have a name. These are shapes we find a lot in nature. That's why this one kind of reminds me of a leaf. So I'm going to draw an organic design. Now, this can kind of be abstract. It doesn't have to be looking like anything specific. I kind of like just drawing these abstract looking shapes and putting them together, and maybe I'll color them to make kind of like an abstract design. Love that. This reminds me of an artist named Matisse. He loves to do these abstract designs. All right, next page is form. A form is not a shape anymore. It's a 3D shape. So it's more of like an object with many sides. You're going to draw each form. Now here's a tip. If you're struggling, try and trace the form first before you draw it. You're going to draw it on the right. Some of these forms also have really straight lines. You might want to grab a ruler from the drawing center to help you make these straight lines. It's okay if it's not perfect. Pay attention to the angles of the lines, how they go at diagonals at some points and not just straight lines. Next is form again, but this time these forms have details. So you're going to look at the 5 forms on the left and draw them with details. So this is a cylinder. Maybe I could add details to a cylinder to make it look like a coffee mug. That's a real object. A sphere. This could be a basketball. It could be a tennis ball. It could be a baseball. A pyramid. These are pyramids in Egypt, but I think a pyramid also kind of reminds me of a tent, like when you go camping. A cone kind of looks like a party hat, or if you flip it upside down, it kind of looks like an ice cream cone. And then a cube could be like a box or a present if I add a bow to it, so I can try that one last. All right, we're on to the next art element, which is color. First, I'm going to color in the color wheel. Now, this will be pretty simple when I just read the color: red, purple, blue, green, yellow, orange, but some of them have 2 colors. So for some of them, I have to mix colors. And markers are not the best things to mix with, so that's why I put my marker away. Crayons, colored pencils, chalk, and oil pastels are better to mix with. So just start with the regular colors, like for example, yellow. Just shade that in. And then when you get to the spot where it says yellow, orange, then you might have to take a yellow and an orange and mix them together. Sometimes crayons, though, will tell you a specific name. Like this one already says red, orange, so guess what? I can use it for this space, the red, orange space. It's a reddish orange already there for me. I don't even have to mix it. So sometimes I'll have to mix. Sometimes I can just find a crayon that will work for me. I think this one, ooh, it doesn't say the name, but I tested it out. It looks kind of like a blue and kind of like a purple, so I'm gonna use it for bluish purple. See how it's bluish, but it's also purplish? I can use that one for that. Down below here, I'm just gonna fill in the rainbow, going in order: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Here's a funny name to help you remember the rainbow order: Roy G. Biv. Indigo, if you're not sure, it's just a bluish purple. So I could actually use this one for indigo. If I can't find a bluish purple, then I could maybe just mix blue and purple together for that space. So I'm going to color each spot of the rainbow. Complementary colors. Complementary colors are colors that look really good when you pair them next to each other. For example, blue and orange are complementary colors. Purple and yellow are also complementary colors, and red and green are complementary colors. So these are sets of colors that when you put them next to each other, they're opposites on the color wheel. So they look really good when you pair them up with each other. If I paired up red and orange, they are not exactly complements because they're almost the same color. They don't look as good when you put them next to each other. They don't pop out against each other. Opposite colors really pop out though. So you're gonna color the wheel with complementary colors. So red and green to start would be good, then purple and yellow and blue and orange. Then you're gonna color the fish down below using complementary colors. So I can color this fish red and green because those are complementary colors. All right, next are warm and cool colors. Warm colors are red, oranges, and yellows. These are colors that remind me of things that are hot, like the sun. Cool colors are blues and greens and purples. These are colors that are a little bit darker and might be good for things that are cold looking. So I'm gonna color the snowman with cool colors and the sun with warm colors. Next page says neutral colors. Neutral colors are not warm or cold. They're colors that are not in the rainbow at all. These are colors such as brown, gray, white, black, beige, tan. These are colors not in the rainbow. So I'm going to color the cats and dogs with neutral colors. Then down below, I'm going to draw a picture and color it with only neutrals. Next is color value. Color value can be a little bit tricky. I would suggest to use a pencil for this one. Your first goal is to shade in the color value scale. Now, value is just one color, dark to light. So if I was using a pencil and I wanted to get a darker color, I would press harder. Notice I'm using the side of my pencil, not the tippy top. It's easier to shade with the side. Then if I wanted to get a lighter color, I would press lighter. I wouldn't press very hard at all. These colors should match up. See how they're matching each other right here? And then for these, I just leave it white. Then I'm going to look at the pumpkin down below and I'm going to shade the pumpkin with the dark and lights that I see. So this area is very light. I might not color in anything. These areas over here are kind of in the middle. So I'm going to shade very carefully with the side of my pencil, the whole section. And then the sides of the pumpkin are darker. So I'm going to press harder to get a darker color. It's okay if you go outside of your pumpkin. That's where your eraser would come in. You can take your eraser and just clean up the edges. Do the whole pumpkin and this pumpkin. These two pumpkins are for you to shade in without looking at a picture, so you can choose how you want to shade them, either dark to light or dark to light this way. It's up to you. All right, now we're getting a little bit more fancy because you have to combine color value, which we just practiced, and form, which is a 3D object. So your job here is to actually draw each of these forms and then shade them with different color values. So I have to really look at the picture above and match up the color value down below and shade my 3D objects. Taking my time because this is not something that you can do very fast. Change up your pressure. You could even try the cast shadow down below. That's the shadow that the object is casting on the ground. All right, try each of the forms. The next page, you're going to draw a picture of a person. This person is going to go in the box here. Try to draw her with just shapes first. And then after you draw her whole body with just shapes, then you're going to add some shading to the picture of her. So the shading, you can see down below here, is listed in the picture, so you can see how to shade her. For example, the back arm right here is really dark, so I would probably shade that area darker. But this arm over here is not very dark, so I would leave that light. So I'm going to shade based on how I see the girl. All right, the next page is texture. Texture is an art element all about the way something feels. So you're going to look at the picture on the left and shade the picture on the, or I'm sorry, not shade, draw on the picture on the left using texture. Texture just means little tiny lines or little tiny shapes that show how something might feel. For example, the cactus is very sharp. So I might have to use very straight, spiky lines on the cactus. The fish looks a little bit scaly, so I might try something like this to add to the fish. This looks kind of rough, little dots. Try each texture. Then on the next page, you are going to draw a picture that shows texture. So you could draw an animal, you could draw a plant, something that has texture. The next page is pattern. You're going to write a word with block letters, maybe even your name. Divide each letter into sections and fill each section with a pattern. So if you're not sure how to draw block letters, basically it's like this. I would just draw a regular letter, and then I can take my pencil and go around those lines and then erase the middle, and then I have a block letter. So I'm starting kind of like with a skeleton and then making it thicker. Then I'm going to divide up the sections kind of randomly and add patterns. They could be shape patterns, they could be line patterns, they could even be color patterns. It's up to you. Try and draw a word. Okay, the next page is space. Space is the next art element. Space just kind of means how are objects divided up in the picture? Are they close? Are they farther away? Are some in front? Are some behind? So you're going to draw some shapes that are in front and some shapes that are behind. You can copy each of these pictures as examples to try. So this picture just shows shapes that are overlapped. You have some shapes in front. You have some shapes behind. Try and overlap your shapes so that you have many different types of shapes sharing space. Then try the ice cream cone. How you would overlap the ice cream cone is you would start with one ice cream, and then you're going to put one on top. So you're going to kind of overlap that. And if you get lines that kind of intersect, then you would have to take your eraser and erase those lines so it looks like one is on top of the other. Space again, but this time we're working with perspective. So you're going to draw a landscape that has a foreground, a middle ground, and a background. Foreground is things in front, middle ground, the things that are in the middle, and background is the things that are in the way back. So you can draw a picture of a landscape, kind of like the picture shows, and start with a foreground. So in the foreground here, I see kind of like a tree, and a road starting, and a house. Then in the middle ground, I see some smaller houses and smaller trees. That's because when things go way back into the background, they get smaller. So try and draw some objects that are big, medium, and then smaller. Then in the background, that would just be like the background here, the sky. You can draw some things in the way back that are really small, like clouds and a sun. All right, we have a couple more pages. Oh, just 3 more. All right, balance. Now this is not an art element. This is a principle of design. Principles of design is how you organize the art elements. So this principle of design, balance, is how shapes are kind of arranged in a picture. So are they exactly the same on both sides or are they different? Symmetrical balance means the exact same on both sides. So for this first picture, what you're going to do is you're going to try and copy what you see on the left onto the right. So I see a house with a window and a bush. That's all I have to do. Asymmetrical balance just means things that are not balanced exactly on each side. So there might be some objects here that are not over here. So you're just going to, let's see, you're going to color the picture so that each side is even in weight. So what that means is you're just going to like color each of the sections of the picture. To kind of balance out the picture. So like if I colored the house, I would also color the hill and color all the shapes in the picture so that each section of the picture has color and shape. So for like this picture, this side doesn't have a lot of shapes, I would add color to the sky. So you're just going to color the picture. Finally, radial balance, things are arranged around the center point. So it's almost like you're repeating things in a circle. So what you're going to do is you're going to trace this design that shows shapes repeated in a circle. Kind of reminds me of what we call a mandala. It's a type of art that's repeated in a circle with different designs. So just trace the dotted lines to make the picture come to life as symmetrical in a circle. All right, another balance page, symmetry. This is kind of what we just practiced with the first box, the same on both sides. So you're going to draw some creatures that are symmetrical. See how each of these creatures here are symmetrical? If I was to cut them down the middle, they're the same on each side. So you're just going to draw maybe 2 creatures that are symmetrical. That means they're exactly the same on both sides. So if I was going to draw a head for my creature with a mouth and some teeth, the teeth have to be the same on both sides. The eyes have to be the same on both sides. The ears have to be the same on both sides. Everything is the same. Radial balance, we practiced this on the other page. That is when things are the same in a circle. So you're going to draw a design, your own design now, using radial balance. So this is a stained glass window by a famous artist. It's also in radial balance because all of the shapes are repeated in a circle. So you're going to make your own design. I would put a dot in the middle to know where the middle is, and you're going to start to repeat designs in a circle. You can do like 1, 2, 3, 4. You can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, as long as you're repeating things the same in a circle. All the way around. What I do on one spot, I have to do around the circle. I'm finished. My drawing workbook is done. If you have finished the whole thing, check it with Mrs. Buettner.